Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're seeing my channel for the first time, you're welcome. This is Jenny's Crowns. So in today's video, we'll learn how to draft this corset top. And if it's something you're interested in, then keep watching. Let's draft our pattern. Now I'm going to start here with a line here, which is also going to serve as my starting line and also my shoulder as well. So I'll just go ahead and pull down my shoulder to my bust measurement. So I'm just going to mark here. For me, it is 10 inches. I'm going to repeat the same thing here, 10 inches. Then from my shoulder to under bust is 13 inches. So I'll mark it here and also repeat it over here too. So from my shoulder to my waist, that is half length, is 16 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark it also on this part. So the length of this corset for me is 24 inches and the length of my pattern paper is actually 24 inches. So I'm just going to work with what I have. So I'm just going to connect these lines like this, the dots like this. That is my bust point. This is my under bust line. And this is my waist line. So let me extend this. All right. So go ahead and label your line. This is my shoulder, bust point, under bust, waist, my full length. So I'm going to divide my shoulder by 2 and mark half of what I have here. So I'll come down from that point by 1 inch for my shoulder slant. Then for my neck width, I decided to use 3.5 inch for the neck width and for the neck depth. You can choose to use 3 inches or even 4 depending on the size of the person you're making the corset for. So I'll connect this with my curve to get the curve there for my neck line. Okay, so I'll connect the 1 inch here to meet that neckline. To get my chest line, I will divide my round bust measurement by 6, then add 1.5 inch. Then what I have is 7.5 inches. I'll mark it here. So I'm just going to measure exactly what I have on my shoulder to be sure that I have the same thing here. So I'll just extend this line. So this is going to serve as my chest line. So I'll label this CL. Then to get our armhole curve, I'm going to get the midpoint of what I have here. That is, divide whatever you have here by 2, then mark it, then go in by 0.5 inch, then connect it. So before then, just divide your round bust measurement by 4, then mark it on the chest line, then connect it to meet that curve there. That is the 0.5 inch we came in with. So now this is what I'm doing basically just to get my curve there. So I'm using my marker so you can see what I'm doing here. So you can see the curve. This is a front pattern. So now the next thing we're going to do now is divide our bust palm by 2. That's your nipple to nipple measurement. For me, I have 3.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that on my bust point down to the full length of the corset, and I'm going to connect it. For the dart intake, please take note of what you have on your screen. Make use of 1 inch for bust circumference of 35 inches or less. Then if your round bust measurement is between 36 to 44, make use of 1.5. Then if it's between 45 to and above, then make use of 2 inches. So I'll be making use of 1.5 because my round bust measurement is 36 inches. So I'm just going to divide my 1.5. I have 0.75 on both sides. So from the hip line, I'll go up by 2 inches. Then from the bust point, I'll come down by 1 inch. The reason why we're considering this level of dart intake is so that there will be enough room or space to accommodate the bust. So I'm just going to connect my dart like this the way you see me doing. Just go ahead and connect. So the next one I'm going to do now is to go ahead and get the midpoint of our shoulders. So I'll be connecting the midpoint of the shoulder to that leg that I have on the bust point line. So I'm just going to get what half of what I have here, then connect here, just like this. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do now is to go ahead and put down our line here. Let me extend this line here so you can be able to understand what I am doing. So now what I want to do now is to determine the depth of my neckline. So you can choose to measure what you have from your bust point line to your under bust, then you go up by the same inch, or you choose to go up from the chest line maybe by 1.5 inch, 1 inch, 2 inches, as the case may be, depending on how covered you want your bust to be. So I'm just going to connect this line. So I came up by 1.5 from the chest line, right? So I'll go ahead to tighten the under bust. Now from the dart legs, I'm going to divide 1.5 inch. So from this dart leg, I'll go out by 0.75. Then from this other dart leg, 0.75. I'm going to measure exactly what I have here and take it down to the full length of my corset on the same dart line. The reason why I'm doing this is so that I can be certain that I have the exact same measurement at the lower part of my corset. So I'll use my marker to connect the lines like this. Okay, then I'll repeat it on this other side. So go ahead and use your curve rule to connect to the bust line. Take note of how I'm placing my curve. So you want this part to be curvy. Let it connect to the bust line like this. So I'll repeat the same thing here as well. Good. So the next thing I'm going to do here is to divide my body measurement, then put them down first. Then we can go ahead and work on the other part of the corset. So the my waist circumference divided by 4, I'm going to mark it here. Then I will take note of the dart here. See what I'm doing, then replace the dart here. You need to replace your dart. If you don't, your corset will become small. So divide your round hip measurement by 4 also. Then mark it. Then measure your dart, of course, then replace it. Now take note that we have not added our sewing allowance here. So basically what I'm going to do is just to connect the line. So I'll just connect this all the way to meet to the hip line. Okay, so just go ahead, connect it like this. Now for this corset, I want the corset to have some sort of curve at the waist region. So I'll be using this curve. You can choose to just keep this part and just connect it straight. But I just want this part to have a bit of curve. So I'm just going to connect it like this. You see how the curve is, right? So the next thing we're going to do now is to work on our bra cups. Now, we're supposed to have a bust dart. That is the difference between your front waistline and that of your back waistline. For me, it is 16 inches for the front waistline, that is shoulder to the waistline. Then for the back is 14.5. So when I subtract it, what I have is 1.5 inch. That is what I did here. I came down from the bust line by 1.5 inch and I connected it to the bust point. That's that line we have there. So the next thing we're going to do here, we're going to open up our shoulder line. Just go ahead and open it up like this. So we won't be cutting through, just get to that bust line, then stop. So I'll open also this dart I have here. That is why I extended the dart outside our lines. Then you stop, don't cut all the way through. So we're going to be covering this side dart. So let me show you how you go about it. So just take note. I'm going to lift this lower part, then cover the line here, maintaining the bust line. Watch again. I'm just going to place it directly on the bust line like this. So you can go ahead and use your tape to hold this. You see that there's a shortage here. We're going to work on that later. So if you just want to replace the shortage, all you need to do is to just connect the line from the armhole line straight to that line where the bust line is. So I'm just going to use my tape to hold it in place. So now we have covered that. So you can choose to just replace it now, but because I'm here to tighten my over bust, I will wait and do that later. So you can choose to go in from your bust point by 1/2 inch, depending on how deep you want your neckline to be. But because I don't want mine to be that deep, so I'm going to just first of all go out on this side for my over bust tightening. I'm marking this 1 inch on both sides. You can choose to use 0.5 inch on both sides. So I'm connecting this to meet the bust line. So now for this over bust tightening, we need this to be able to give our cups a very good fitting when we are done sewing. Okay, it's just more like a dart here to contour the bust region. Hope you understand. So we're definitely going to be cutting this dart. All right, so now I'm going to come up from my bust line. I'm going to maintain the chest line. So you can choose to come down from your chest line depending on how deep you want your neckline to be. But me, I'm just simply going to maintain the chest line. I don't want my corset to be too open. So from that chest line, I will go in by 1/2 inch, just 1/2 inches, okay. Then I'll connect it. Now, if you want to connect this curve, you know that you're working on a bust region, so there's going to be a curve there. Take note of how you place your curve. Place it in a way that you still have that curve, like you see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to use my marker so you see what I'm doing. So I connected it to that 1/2 inch. See how curved? It's not too curvy, it just has the right amount of curve. So I'm also going to curve this part. Just take note of how I'm placing my curve. Then I'll connect it here. So before you do this, you need to make sure that that leg of both bra cups are the same. Most times this other part is longer than this center part. So I'm just going to replace the excess or the shortage rather. So I'm going to connect this back just like this. You might want to do this before covering that part of your, or be drawing the curve of that your bra cup. Now I'm going to get the midpoint of what I have here at this armhole here. Then I'll connect using my curve too. The side of our bra cup is usually big so that the bust can sit properly inside the cup. So just make sure you place your curve the way you see me doing mine. Mine is on top of that under bust line. I'm going to blend it. So now if you're making this as a tube, corset tube, make sure you go up from the armhole by 1/2 inch. Then you just connect your curve like this into the armhole. Reason being that if you don't do that, your armhole, the side of the armhole will be too low. So go ahead and label our bra cup. So I'm just going to label this 1 and 2. So go ahead and replace the dart you have on that over bust part. Replace it on the chest line. So what I have here is 1 inch on both sides. So I have 2 inches, but I'm going to subtract 0.5 inch, leaving me with 1.5, and that's what I'm going to mark here. So from this point now, connect it down to the waist. So you can choose to put the full or the entire dart there, but I chose this part because it's going to give me that firm fit. Okay, so from my waistline, I'm going to come down by 6 inches at the center front. Then from here, 5 inches. The reason why is your corset is not supposed to be as long as your hip line, so that you can be able to sit down and move freely and be comfortable with it when you sit, right? So that is why I made this adjustment here. Okay, so I'm going to use the cuff part of my pattern master here. So I'll use my marker to trace this line here, and you can see that cuff part. So this is center, front, side, front. So this is what we have. So we're just going to go ahead and cut this. So for my yoke, I'm just going to place them like this, just to make sure I have the same curve here. You can see I have one part a bit longer, so I just blended the lines there. Now I'll use my scissors and cut off the excess part of the pattern paper. Then I'm going to go ahead to use my tape to join this together. If you're not adding a yoke to your corset, you can skip this. So I'm just going to use my tape and hold this together like this. So this is what my yoke looks like. I'll just go ahead and label this. Please make sure you label your pattern paper. So this is what I have. So this is a 2-part cup. Okay, the bra cup is just 2. So now we're going to divide this bra cup to make it 3-part bra cup. Okay, so now I'm going to come down from this side of my bra cup here by 1.5 inch. Then at the center here, I'm going to go down by 2 inches, then this center to 2 inches, then the side 1.5 inch. So if the bra cup is bigger, on the side go down by 2 inches, then the center 2.5, then the other side 2 inches. So I'm just going to use my curve to connect the lines, those points I made. So I'm just going to connect this, that 1.5 inch on the side, I'll connect it to meet the 2 inches at the center. Then I'll also do the same thing on the other bra cup. So this is not difficult at all. So go ahead and also use your curve rule to get this part. Okay, so this is what I have. So I'm going to go ahead to cut this part off. You can see the lines. So I'm going to cut this part off. I'm cutting off that top part for both of them. So what we're going to do next is to join this part together. You use your tape. So this is what I have. So I'm going to join this part together and use my tape to hold it. So I'm just making arrows to show where my cups are supposed to meet. This is very important because when you're sewing this, the bra cups, the pieces of it tend to look alike. So to avoid making mistake, I'm going to also notch when I'm transferring my pattern on my fabric. So just go ahead and use your tape to join this part like this. So I'm going to get a fresh pattern paper because I'll be tracing this on another paper so that it can come as one piece. You know, we have it as 2 pieces because of the demarcation and the cutting. So I'm just going to use my pin to hold this. Then I'm going to use my tape to hold the 2 ends or 2 sides. The reason is that I chose to just use my scissors to just cut straight. You can use your marker or pen to just trace whatever you have on this new pattern paper, then cut. So I'm just following the shape, the length, every curve I have on this upper part of this piece. Okay, so make sure you don't throw your the pieces of your cups because It's going to come in very handy when you're stitching this. So I'm just going to place this side by side like this. Okay, so I'm going to label this as 3, then point the arrows to where it's supposed to be. This is the center front. Then I'm going to point the arrow here. This is the side front. So this is our 3-part bra cup. So we're going to go ahead to cut the back piece. Now I've gone ahead to put down my starting line. I have my chest line, bust line, waistline. Now for the waistline for the back is 14.5 inch, like I explained when drafting the front piece when I was talking about the bust dart. So I went ahead to put the length of the corset. Right, so for our armhole, just get the midpoint here. Unlike the front, we're not going to be coming in by 0.5 inch. Divide your round bust measurement by 4, then get it there. So I'm just going to use my curve to connect like this. You can see the difference between the front armhole and the back armhole. Then next I'm going to do is to get my dart. So divide your nipple to nipple measurement, place it on your chest line all the way to the length of your corset. So just as I did for the front piece, I'm going to be making use of that 1.5 inch because my round bust measurement is 36. Remember I said from 0 to 35 inches as your round bust measurement, you use 1 inch dart. Then from 36 to 44, use 1.5 inch as your dart. Then from 45 and above, use 2 inches as your dart. So I'm just going to connect my dart all the way. Please, if you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section and I'll do my best to answer. So just connect your dart. Connect your dart like this to that 2 inches we came up with from the full length. So we're going to cut this part of the dart. For the back neckline, you are going to be stylish, creative, depending on whatever you want. So I'm going to come up from this neck, from this chest line. I'm going to come up by say 1 inch. Okay, so first of all, let me put down my 1/4 of my waist measurement, then replace my dart here. Then I'll do the same for my hip line. So just connect like this. So now you want to make sure that the side of the back and the side of the front are the same, please, because they need to fit. They need to be the same length, the same shape. So I'm going to get my side front and place it here just to get the same curve and the same length of that side. Right, so I'm just going to put some dots here to get that line. Okay, so I'll use my curve to get this, or to make this more visible. Right, so now for this hemline of the back piece, you can just make it straight. I'm going to make mine slightly curved like this, so it's just okay. So right, so remember we have this back yoke. You can just leave yours like this. Like I came down from the shoulder by 1 inch, you can make it of 1.5 inch. But if you want to make a keyhole back yoke, you can come down from that part by 1.5 inch and then just connect to your dart with any curve or shape, whatever you want. So just curve it like this. But I won't be using this style for my back yoke. So I'm just going to come up from the chest line. Like I said, I'm going to come up from the chest line by 1 inch. For this corset, I'll be making use of eyelet. So I'm coming in from the center back by 1.5 inch. If you want this more than this or less than this, take note that whatever measurement you're putting here is like 2 times. So as I'm putting 1.5 inch here, when I cut the 2 back piece, I will have 3 inches. Hope you understand. So I'm just going to use this line here just to indicate I'll be adding my eyelet here. I'm just making little circles here. So I'll just come up from my chest line because I want my back neckline not to be too low. So you can see the pattern or the type of yoke I want for my back. So I'm just going to make this slightly curved like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and extend this line to meet the dart line. So you can choose to do this. You can make your back neckline or yoke V neckline depending on whatever you want. So I just want mine like this. I'm going to go ahead to cut this, right? So I'll be folding in my darts. I won't cut this, so just take note of how I'm doing all this, both the yoke, cutting of the yoke, the way I'm cutting the back, and also how I'm going to fold in my dart. So I'm going to use my front yoke to make sure I have the same length as the back yoke. So if yours is a bit bigger, just reduce it a bit. Take note of how I folded in my dart. So I'm going to use my tape to hold this in one place. So this, I'm just making sure that this back piece is just together. I don't have many pieces. All right. Thank you for watching. If you got value from this video, please give me a like, share, leave a comment for me, ask your questions, and please subscribe. Also, do not forget to click on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload new videos. So until next time, bye.